Good morning, Chevy Boy 925 here, and today I'm going to try to show you how to put two warlbro 450s in your stock housing without spending a bunch of money on 4 innovations or Rick's tanks or whatever. Obviously some of those are good systems, some of them are not. I've seen them leak like crazy even for how much money they cost, so this is a cheaper, simpler way to do it yourself. First thing you're going to want to do, you don't have to remove the bed. Mine's just off for other reasons. What you could do, what I recommend, is removing all 8 of the, I believe, 18mm bolts out of the truck, and then putting a towel in between the right side of the bumper and the bed. And then what I'll even do is take the left rear wheel off, and I'll lift the bed up on the left side as high as I can, put something very safe under there, like a wooden block or something, and basically get the bed tilted. And the reason for the left rear wheel being off is it gives you more room to kind of fit in there to do all this. But you can always just remove the bed with a cherry picker or something like that. So whatever you want to do, you're going to want to start off by removing all these connections. So you have one for the sending unit, which is power, ground, and the signals for the fuel level. So let's see if I can get it off. Probably not. Come on. I didn't bring all my tools out here because we're going to be working in the garage, so of course it doesn't want to come. But then you're also going to want to remove the pressure. Let's see, come on. Might just have to go get the screwdriver. It's very stiff. Alright, well, I'll get the screwdriver, but you want to remove those sensors. Man, this thing's never been off. Remove all the lines. Be very careful. You don't need to take a screwdriver and just pry it off. You can just kind of get your finger under on both sides and just go up. Getting a screwdriver in there, you run the risk of cracking it in half, and it's just a headache. So just be careful. Stuff gets brittle. But once those tabs are up, you can easily just remove them. So this one, you're actually going to want to squeeze to get the 2 tabs to go around the locking ring, and then just kind of wiggle it off. Just be careful with all this stuff. You don't want to break it and then in the back of your head know that you have a leaking stuff back here, especially when it comes to fuel. So that's everything off except for this main connector that wants to fight me. It's just fighting me, so you basically just want to get under there, get that off. So once all your connections are off, this is not the right tool. It may be considered janky. You don't want to do it with a crazy expensive one, but I actually just use an extension for this. If you have a punch or something that's not sharp, that's fine too, but you don't want to use a flathead screwdriver, a chisel, anything like that. You just don't want to cut into the top of this tank. An extension is rounded off, so that's just what I use. But you kind of just want to knock it around. Like I said, they probably do make a wrench for it, but that just took me 3 seconds. So once again, the ring's off, all your connections are off. This is going to make a mess. You probably want to vacuum all this out, but you don't want a bunch of stuff falling into the fuel tank. But we're going to completely flush this one out, so I'm not too worried about it. But let me get a better view. So with these, I've noticed they tend to make the housing the exact same size as the pump. So as you're lifting it up, you really need to make sure that you're on point with it. Now here's where you want to be careful. There's this float, so as you're coming up, you need to kind of immediately start to angle it to get the float out. And then what I do, I just dump the fuel right back in. Just like that. Alrighty, so now we'll bring it in the garage and we'll start to modify it. So it's definitely been a while, so bear with me. But first thing you're going to want to do now that you have it out, get all this out. Let's see. So basically you want to do this without breaking it. You can even just kind of stick 3 flatheads in, like so. You just kind of want to be careful not to break it, but you're trying to get it over these tabs. It's kind of hard on this side. There you go. So there's 3 tabs, one on this side as well. And you just want to, and don't poke yourself in the wrist. But you kind of just want to get them. Come on. There you go. Instead of trying to fight all of them individually, even though that's kind of what I'm doing anyway, you just, there you go. You get them all in there, and then you can kind of work it. So now you can see all these are out of the slots. So I pulled the little venturi out. I don't know if that helps. I don't think so. I think it's just stuck. I don't remember what it's stuck on though. Alright, well, just to make things easier, I'm going to remove the fuel pump connector and the sending unit connector. So those are off, because now I just don't care. And then I'll also be cutting off the feed connector. Let's see if I can get the rods out of here. There we go. Get the top hat separate. So we have the top hat, the little venturi. Maybe I'll go ahead and pull the sending unit too, just to make it easy. Pull the sending unit. So now I'll just use this, and I don't know why it won't separate. There it is. Man, I don't know why those are such a pain in the ass. So now, we don't need any of this. Pump, regulator, none of it. None of it. So, let's see if I remember how to do this. Get all this cut out of here. So there's your stock pump. So now, I'm trying to get this pushed out. I'm gonna fight you the whole time. Come on, just make the mess already. So same thing, maybe I'll try sticking. There it is. Get that out of there too. So now we're starting fresh. So the next thing I do is take this little Venturi piece, and right here, I actually just did it by hand when I was checking it, but I just took a 1/8 drill bit and kind of opened it up, reamed it out a little bit. I think this was something I did more when I was trying to run a single 450 without doing a return style system. They recommended doing this, but now I just do it on all of them, just better flow. It may do nothing, I may be misleading you, but it's what I do. Never had a fuel system problem, so that's what I'm gonna tell you to do. So the next thing, and I feel like you guys are gonna hate me for this, you got to put this fitting in this part of the assembly. And the reason you guys might hate me for this, I have no idea what size it is. I know it's 3/8 barb. I don't know what size the threads are. It actually comes with my True Cool transmission cooler, and it's just what I've always used. I have a bunch of them laying around because I bought a bunch of True Cools and I never use it. So I'll try to get that info for you guys. But basically, it works perfect. Obviously the plastic's not threaded. You just apply a little pressure with a socket and install it. And that's where you get your return line from.
There she is. So that's where we're at so far.
So basically the whole deal behind this, it's pretty simple. Sorry. This right here is your factory feed. Boom, 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 right? This will now be your return line. So when you hook up your fuel system, you can hook it right back up to here, but in the front at your engine bay, you run that to your return. It's a 3/8 quick disconnect female. You turn that into your return. It's factory -6, simple. So that takes care of the whole thing from your engine all the way back to here. Boom. This, you just take some perforated or gate submersible, whatever you prefer, from there to there. Boom. That's why I drill out that Venturi, you know, open up the limits of your return style. Because that was feed before, you know, open it up, whatever, boom. Then I install 2 pumps. They tee together. And I'm going to put a bulkhead right here. So it's going to run from your 2 pumps into here, right there. And then you make your own, you know, I run a 90 off of that. And then into a filter under the cab. From the filter up behind the engine. I put a Y block into 2 either 45 or 90s into the rear of the fuel rail, and then that's your feed. So you have your feed, and like I discussed before, you have your return, and then all you need to do is figure out your regulator and how you want to run it under the engine. But this makes it super simple. I know buying those kits make it super simple too, but I mean, those kits are super expensive, and so far I'm only into this a couple bucks for my gates. I think these are like 10 or 20 bucks a piece. and then a Y fitting, and 2 pumps. So, I mean, you're talking less than $300 for the pumps and the whole kit and everything. I've seen some of those drop-ins, so-called, close to $1,000, and I've seen them leak from the beginning. So you're gonna pay $1,000 for something that you have to return or figure out on your own. So we're gonna keep this pushing. So get that cut off. So this is basically the setup I run. It's 2 -6 to 3/8 barbs, and then the -8 on the other side of this, and then a -8 coupler with a -8 bulkhead. You always want to make sure, depending on what setup you have, you gotta remember the pumps are only 3/8 to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. There's no sense in going bigger here. But together, you definitely want a -8 for, you know, I'd say 700-800 horse, especially E85. So I try to run -8 everywhere I can. So this is basically going to go like this inside, and it just splits off into 2 pumps. You split your power with a nice hot wire kit. Super simple. So I bought a little hole saw kit, and basically you're going to want to, yeah, that seems perfect. 7/8 seems perfect. So get my little 7/8 going. Now I can't remember if I can actually pull this out. I don't even remember what this does, to be honest. I don't remember if I still have it in mine. I really don't remember what that is, but I think it's Evap. We don't care about that, but we got that. And you could probably use a step bit. I'm not telling you guys to go out and spend money. I mean, I'm just kind of at the point in my life where I'm trying to buy as many tools as I can. Makes the job easier. Even though I'll probably struggle with this in front of you guys. Now you can usually pull these rods out sometimes. Well, I got the one out that matters. So now you're gonna want to try to drill this hole straight, which probably ain't gonna happen. Yeah, it's all right. I got it started from the inside, and it just wants to grab that plastic and go crazy. So then I'll try to finish it from the outside. So there you go. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I should have moved it over a little bit more. I went lined up with the circle. We'll be okay. You can't fit a socket on there, you're gonna have to use a wrench, but didn't screw it up enough to replace it. So we have our Dash 8 bulkhead. Boom. So once again, Dash 8 bulkhead in there, male to male. We have our return set up. Now we'll keep on moving. So now this is where we are. I took a fuel pump, I put the filter on it and put it in from the bottom. I got my wires cut the connector off. Got my 3/8 gauge submersible with the pinch clamp on there. So then I go ahead and take that, set her in there. Something like boom. For those of you who are worried about just keeping it in place, it can't go anywhere. It's directly on the bottom of the bucket. It's not going anywhere. That's one tank installed. Sorry, one pump installed. So then, second pump, connector cut off, filter sock on, like so. You can even kind of bend it up if you want. One pump, two pump, ready to go. So next, you take your little fitting. Now I will admit it's a little hard to tighten because of the limited space, but I believe in you. Put this back in. Alright, so the next, there you have it. That's plugged back in. The original plug for the fuel pump, hot and ground. I cut it, and then what I do is I run both the powers to the hot, and I run one of the grounds to the ground. The other one I run through the tank. You can do a bulkhead. I personally just run it, deburr it, and silicone it. The reason I do that is I run the second pump ground through a hob switch, which gets connected after I think 4 pounds of boost. So if you're running a boosted application and you need the second pump to kick on, then that's what you would do. Or if you're nitrous, if you have some type of kick on for that, that's where you'd want to run it. So everything is done on this. One pump to one side, the other pump to the other side. Everything's tight, kicks up into here. I run a 90, run it down your fuel rail into the filter and into the back of the rails, whatever you need to do. The only thing that I need to get, I forgot one hose. to that fitting that we installed here, and then that's going to go up to the original feed fitting there. 3/8, 3/8, 2 connectors, that's it. I gotta go get another hose. This is the part number for 1 foot, so I just need to get one more. No big deal. Other than that, pop this Venturi back in, which just goes like this. I don't think I can get it with one hand, but it just goes back in there. And that's it. Couple $100, 30 minutes of my time. Very minimal tools. I like to use these. And the crimper just looks kind of like some snips just dulled down. Honestly, you can run worm drive hose clamps, and I've never had an issue with it. They say you're not supposed to. And you can run the better Racetronics perforated stuff, which they say is better. I've never had an issue with this stuff. It's submersible fuel line. I run E85. Never had a problem, but obviously do what you think is best. This is just how I do it. Super cheap, super simple. And like I said, this fitting comes in my True Cool kit. I'm going to try to figure it out. I mean, it's probably like 3/8 barb to 3/8 pipe thread. I mean, it's something super simple. I just can't tell you exactly what it is. I can't remember, but I'll figure it out for you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you guys make some power. And there you have it. All complete. Bulkhead 90 going to the fuel system. Straight into a T. -6s to each pump. Powers running together to the power out of here. Ground from the single first pump to the factory position. Ground from the second pump through the top into your hob switch. If you want to run both at the same time, then you wouldn't do that. Return from the fitting we added to the original feed. Very simple. I was going to die, but something I wanted to quickly point out. These tanks are larger from 03 to 06, not the actual tank, but the opening and the assembly bucket or hat or whatever you want to call it. So on my 99, what I did is I actually took the whole tank and bucket from that and installed it onto my 99 or 2000, whatever it is, to make it super simple. Everything hooked up. I did have to change some of the lines. It was super easy because those come return, where this is returnless. But it's definitely something you're going to want to do to get the bigger bucket to run 2 tanks. If you're just going to, or sorry, 2 pumps. If you're just going to run 1 pump, you're fine. But if you want 2 pumps, grab the tank, grab the fuel pump assembly from a newer truck from the junkyard. I guarantee you can get it for under $100. It's going to save you a lot of headache. Super simple.